Hey, what's up, Internet? So today what we want to do is we want to explore a new tool called Create React App. This is something maybe similar to what we've seen with Code Sandbox, just a environment, a tool, a way that you can get up and running with React in relatively little time. So let's get started. Now, the Create React App is a tool that was created by some of the core developers at Facebook, i.e. the creators of React. So we're going to do Create React App. You Google it and it's often this first option. This is showing you a lot of the documentation that you might need. And if you scroll down here, you're going to see the commands of npx create React App with dashes in between, and then the name of the project that you want to create. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to open up my terminal. I'm going to clear this. And then we're just going to paste that in and we'll say, we'll give this the name of sample app. Now, if you're running on certain environments, you may get a message like this, which is essentially saying that you're using a different version of Create React App, or it's not working properly. So the workaround that we've found here that works is you go after Create React App and use the @ symbol, and then the word latest. So latest and greatest. You hit that and it's going to take a second to install. We'll go ahead and pause the video here and come back once all of this is ready to go. All right, so welcome back. Now on our end, that probably took 2-3 minutes. I think it would probably depend on when you are installing this and sort of the underlying tools that you're using and sort of what your OS is and how powerful a computer is, would be my guess. But so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this documentation and we're going to change the directory to whatever directory we called it. In our case, I believe it was sample. So I'm going to do cd sample, hit tab, it will auto-complete that. I'll hit enter. And then here, if you're in VS Code, you can just go ahead and type code and period, and it will open up your current directory. If you want to navigate with Finder or whatever to your code environment, that's fine to do that. And let's go ahead and take a look around. So here we already have some node modules which are installed. It looks like you're using Yarn, or in our case, we're going to be using NPM. Both of those are tools that you can look further into. Here's the README. You can do all of this reading on your own time. It talks about the different documentation. Here's our package JSON file, which has the name of our app, the version, private. These are dependencies. It doesn't look like we have any dev dependencies. Here are some scripts that we'll use in a sec. And then it's showing your ESLint configuration and your development environment and whatnot. So here in the source directory, we have app, and the way it's organized is they already have some CSS. They have tests set up. They have your index CSS, your index.js. And it might look familiar in that you go to your index.js file. It's rendering essentially to the React DOM, this app component, which is over here. Shouldn't be too much, too different if you've used React at all. But if you want to change something, we're gonna probably do that in the app.js file. So what I'm gonna do in VS Code, there's a cool keyboard shortcut. So on Mac, it's Control and tilde, the little symbol here. Otherwise, you can go to terminal and then you can go here. So that's that keyboard shortcut that I was talking about. This will open up the terminal, or an instance of our terminal in VS Code. So we actually don't have to go back to this portion here. So I'm gonna make this full screen for the time being. And then if we go back to our package.json file, it will show us what scripts we have. So you could do npm start. I think yarn start also would work. npm, I think you have to do npm start or npm run start. I'm going to do run start, and that's going to start up some scripts, which will open automatically if things installed correctly. It will open up a window where it will show us our new React app. So in my case, has a development server on port 3000, but you could be using a different port if you so chose. But it takes a second, and then this is the app that's automatically created. So I'm actually going to do these side by side. There are a few different ways you can do this. I'm on Mac again, so I'm going to right click here. Oops, by right click here. Let's try that again. I'm going to right click and hold down and then go, I'm going to put this on the right side. And then I'm going to put my VS Code on the left side. And then if you want to adjust it, you can. It's kind of a fun, cool party trick. So if we went here, in the actual apps.js, you could say, I've added some new code. So you should see that it has HMR or hot module reloading. So you could say, hello, internet. Assuming you can spell. If you wanted to remove this logo, you could just delete it there. And then again, you hit save and it will be here. So you could say, instead of learn React, it could be like, check out our channel, check out our YouTube channel. Go here and then here, let's open up a new window really quickly. And then let's do co-learnable, if I could spell, learnable, and then YouTube. Here we are. So we can take our channel URL. We'll close that and then we'll, put it here. Boom. Now, when we click this button, it should open up our YouTube channel, which is kind of cool. So anyway, there are a number of different things you could do here. Knowing what you know now, if you wanted to, you could go, let's say we wanted to go back to our React app. Let's tile it to the right again. And this is going to be a little bit more painful than we had hoped. So we'll exit full screen. This is like uncomfortable, you know? Try to do something on the fly, it fails miserably. But let's say that we wanted to create a directory. So here you could open up another window and then it's going to take a second and you can do ls to list what's here. So you could essentially do mkdir to make a directory, and we're going to make a directory in the sources or the source subdirectory, and you could call it components. You'll see it will show up here. And then if you wanted to touch, well, let's try that again. I'm going to hit up arrow and then here, touch, sample.js to make a new JS component. And then here, if you wanted to think about what we wanted to do, so you could say, we'll create a functional component. So you could say const welcome message. Well, we'll do const sample equal to, it's going to not have any props. Then here we're going to say export default export sample. Boom. And then we could just have an h1 tag. What I like to do sometimes here is change this from JavaScript to React. And then it will autocomplete. So we can do h1 and we could say, hello there, internet. Boom. And let's make this export default instead of default export, and we'll go back to app. By app, I mean app.js. And then here you could go, I'm gonna hit Command Shift down, duplicate that, and then here we're gonna say components / sample. Cool. So we want to say import, we can name it whatever we want. So we can say message from components. You'll see it adjusts as it comes along. And then here, rather than this p tag, we could have an h1 tag. So we can just do our message. What if we call this sample? So here, I'm going to select both, sample, try again. So logo is defined and not used. That's not very helpful. Oh, so essentially what's happening here is we're actually not returning. So here you could just do return. And there it is. Or if you want to do a multi-line return, that'd be totally fine. So here we're going to want to have a div. We can remove this class name, but you could have your h1. And then here you could have, let's say like an h3. Looking forward to learning with you. Something cheesy like that. And then you hit save and there it is. Or if we wanted to change this to a p tag, you could select both. So you select the first one and then you hit Command D on Mac. You could change this to a p tag and save it. And it should change here to p tag. So anyway, that is a quick little demo with Create React App. Again, sort of what we learned is that if you want to avoid that error that we saw in the beginning, you do @latest after create-react-app. After that, it's pretty simple. You have a lot of things out of the box, like you have this development server, hot module reloading, whatnot. If you wanted to create a subdirectory like for components and then import those components into app.js, totally fine. But there's a lot of things you can do. It's often a good tool to consider if you want to work in a local environment rather than a hosted environment like Code Sandbox. And if you're just going to tinker around, want to try some stuff out with React, I really like this tool. All right, so with that in mind, if you have any comments, questions, or ideas for future videos, please add them in the comment section below. If you haven't already subscribed, consider doing so. We try to make a video every week, every couple weeks, really depends on what else is going on in life, but the more people that subscribe, the more likely we are to make content frequently. So anyway, thanks for your time and hope to see you again soon. Cheers.